Facebook the other day, one of those conspiracy theory videos came up, and coining the phrase that was used as its title, I thought to myself, this is an excellent Zen conundrum, because it said, hidden in plain sight. That's very Zen, and it reminded me of that combination of those Zen anecdotes. You know, that time when the two monks were looking up at the flagpole, having an argument whether it was the wind that was moving or the flag that was moving, and the master coming along and saying, it's not the wind that's moving or the flag that's moving, it's your mind that's moving. And this anecdote became a discussion point by the monks of the day, and could still be. But one day there was that group of monks who had stopped at a certain monastery for hospitality overnight, when a certain enlightened nun overheard the monks discussing this anecdote and stating to them, you foolish beings, if it's not the wind that's moving or the flag that's moving, how can there be a mind that moves? Mullah Nasruddin every day crossed the border between Isfahan and Samarkand, leading a donkey laden with goods. Sometimes it was cotton, sometimes it was wheat. And the border guards suspected him of carrying contraband, smuggling in other words. So every day they inspected his load, but they could find nothing. But it was obvious that Mullah Nasruddin was getting richer and richer, because first of all he used to cross the border wearing his simple cotton cloak and his cotton turban, and then he was starting to wear satin cloaks and silken turbans. But the years passed, and the captain of the guard retired from his post, and even Mullah Nasruddin had retired to a great extent. One day the captain of the guard was in the coffee shop when Mullah Nasruddin came in. So the captain of the guard went over to Mullah and he said, oh, you know, now I've retired and I can see that you're retired too, so there's no culpability here. Please, won't you tell me what you were smuggling? Mullah Nasruddin said, donkeys. I was smuggling donkeys. Then there's a little story about a couple, a simple couple, living on a farm somewhere quite remote. So life was very, very, very basic and simple for them, but they were very happy. They'd not been married very long, but they were very harmonious together. And one day the husband said to the wife, let's play a game to pass the time. Have you ever played the game I Remember? And the wife said, no, I've never heard of that game. He said, oh, didn't your grandmother ever tell you the story about I Remember? He said, when anyone gives you something, you have to reply, I remember. And if you don't, then you have to give them something. Oh, said the wife, I'll play this game and then you can buy me that silver bracelet that I saw in the jeweler's shop. So in response to that, the wife said, oh, but if you win, I'll embroider you a silken vest. So they played the game, and it was very clear. They were both very aware and very alert, and any time they gave each other anything, they would say, "I remember." So the time went on, and they chuckled together about this because there was no giving between them, no forgetting. But then there came a time when winter was approaching, and the husband had to go off to buy seeds and buy supplies for them to see them through the winter time. So he had his relatives come over to be with his wife during the time that he was away, because she was pregnant with their first child. So the husband went off and made his travels elsewhere, but while he was away, a great snowstorm came, so he was very much delayed in his return. Finally, as the storms abated, he came back laden with the goods to make those supplies, but he had been very anxious about his wife and her condition. But when he came back, the smoke was coming out of the chimney, and when he opened the door, there was his beloved wife sitting by the fire, nursing their newly born child. And the wife came over and handed the child to her husband and said, "Here is your son." And he gazed down into the face of this small little cherub, and with great delight and overwhelming joy in his heart. And then the wife, with a certain smile on her face, said to the husband, "You forgot to say, 'I remember.' You owe me a silver bracelet." But he wasn't at all perturbed by this, because he was overwhelmed by the delight of having in his arms his small, newly born son. Well, needless to say, the wife got her bracelet, and the husband got his embroidered vest, which the wife very lovingly sewed while she was rocking the cradle of her son. What can you glean as the relationship between these anecdotes, these little stories, the Zen? If it's not the wind that's moving, or the flag that's moving, there can be no mind that moves. Hidden in plain sight in the story of the Mola. And I remember. What's your experience now of that which has been called the meeting place between stillness and movement? What for you arises out of these anecdotes? What's your experience? What have we discovered? What arises when these stories merge? hidden in plain